What's going on, everyone? It is Garrett and welcome back to another video. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of cool videos and tutorials coming out. But in today's video, we're going over on how to create a modern letter logo. Now, believe it or not, this is definitely one of the easiest types of logos to create, in my opinion, and I'm going to be showing you guys a bunch of examples in just a second. And a really cool thing about this video, so it's so easy, we're actually going to be doing this without any sketches or planning or any of that. It's going to be all off the top of our head, all using our brain and our creativity. And trust me, it's a lot easier than it sounds. Some of you might be freaking out that you might not be able to do it, so I challenge you guys to try it. Send me what you make on Twitter, on Discord, on my emails, whatever it is, and I'm sure it's going to be great. Now, to go more into details on what a modern letter logo is, so really quickly in Illustrator, I made one on stream, I think it was a couple days ago. I made this with no sketches. I basically just used my grid, I made a bunch of circles, and I made a C. Now, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing some basic letters first, so you guys can get the hang of everything. And to show you a little bit more of modern letter logos, and I don't know if you guys have no idea who I am, but for the people that do, they know that I like doing these modern logos. I like doing the lines. I like having like the tech look and feel, whatever you want to call it. But if we head over to my website that I'm currently, doing over again, I'm still working on it. You guys can click it on the description below. Tell me what you think so far. But in my logo folio, I have a lot of modern letter logos that I do. Now, I think it's honestly one of the most creative things to do. I think it looks really nice, especially when you start putting it on like business cards or t-shirts or stuff like that. It definitely looks really cool, and plus it's fun to design with. No doubt you guys can make some really cool effects with this. So let's hop into Illustrator and let's get designing. So really quickly, I'm going to be using this grid that I made. Now, you know in Illustrator you guys can have pre-made grids. I know that's a thing. However, I like to make mine just basically like this. Now, if you guys want to download this grid, inside of my Discord, you guys can click on the link in the description below to join my Discord chat. Inside my channels, you're going to see a channel called YouTube and then one called Downloads. When you click on that, there's going to be a download link here for the 2018 grid that I'm using. I've also included it in previous videos, but this is how you're going to have to download it from now on. So once you have that downloaded, just open it up into Photoshop. It won't kill your computer, I promise. You guys are going to be totally fine. And all you have to do, we're going to hide the grid for now, and I'm actually going to delete that C logo. So to start this off, I'm going to make a text tool, and I'm just going to basically write some tips. So tip number one is definitely going to be understanding letters. Now, I'm not going to make any fancy fonts. I'm just going to go change this to something pretty bold. So tip number one, understanding letters. So basically understanding how a letter is made. And what I mean by that is, like you guys know, if we're going to make an O, all it is a circle with the middle taken out, right? That's the letter O. Now, if we wanted to make a G, you know that a G is basically an O, but this time, let me just grab my rectangle tool. And I'm gonna be doing this pretty fast just so I can show you guys what goes through my creative mindset. So you guys know that a G is just basically an O with a line through it and with the top cut out. Okay, so we're just going to go through understanding letters. Now, I'm not going to go through the alphabet. Of course, I can do that in a later on video if that'll help you guys. But just sit here and honestly pick a letter that you want to create with, whether it's a K, whether it's an O, whether it's an A, or a G. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to be using an O in this video just because it's a lot easier for me to do and a lot faster. But sit there, take a rectangle tool, and start making the letter out. And so with a K, I'm actually going to do this in like a little modern style for you guys, just to show you guys, the creative mindset. So I'm using a lot of commands. I'm using the Shift, Control C, Control F to duplicate. A lot of commands are going into this. And so a K letter logo is just basically big line on an angle. Make this a little bit bigger. Duplicate it, flip it, and then bring it down. And then basically all you have to do is delete the stuff that's not needed anymore. And believe it or not, this is a lot easier. And like I said, this is probably the most fun, I would have to say, doing logos is going to be these modern style logos. And just to talk really quickly, like I said, you're definitely going to want to sit down and go through Illustrator just to mess around with letters, just to see how it works. And you can see how fast I made a K. I know it doesn't look pretty, but that's basically how a letter, that's how a letter K is made. So that's definitely the tip number 1, is understanding the letters. Tip number 2 is trial and error. Now what I mean by that is when you guys start doing logos, you guys start getting really creative, you're definitely going to run into times when you really don't know what's going on. You really don't know what you want to do. You really don't know what looks good. You really don't know what to do next. What I recommend doing is what I do with basically all my logos is you duplicate it, you change it, and then you duplicate that, and then you change that. And the next thing you know, you go from having one variation of a logo all the way until 10. And I can show you guys that I've done this. I do this all the time. You guys know on my streams I do it. I basically make a K logo like I did for a client just recently. I took that K logo, I duplicated it, I changed it, and I did that around 5 to 10 times, honestly. And believe it or not, the last one I made ended up turning out what the client wanted. And believe it or not, if I didn't sit there for an extra hour just messing around with things, I would have came up with that concept. So that's definitely a big thing, trial and error. Definitely try out new things. And honestly, 2 tips, that's basically all you need to know to get ready into this. So let me delete those and let me open up the grid right here. So the first thing I want you guys to do is make sure the grid's locked, because if it's not locked, you're definitely going to click on something and just bring it out. And there's a bunch of lines in here, so it might not change everything, but it's always good just to keep it locked. The next thing I want you guys to check is grab your selection tool up here, or click V on your keyboard if you guys are on PC. And make sure that you can see the X by the mouse that clicks onto each path. If it's not clicking, you guys want to hit Control U or Command U on the keyboard, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making a new layer and we're going to be syncing up boxes and stuff and circles with the paths. And if it's not activated, the Control U, then what happens is these won't snap onto the lines. So just make sure that it's connected, hit Control U on your keyboard, and trust me, it makes all the difference. So let's get right into a logo. So what you guys need to figure out is what letter you want to start with. For example, like I said in this video, I'm going to be using the letter O. It's just a lot easier for me to personally work with, and for the video, so I can show you guys different concepts and the way to go about it. Now, if you guys are going to be using a more complex letter like a Z, like an S or something like that, you really need to take your time and really commit to the letter. You really need to understand how the form is. Like, people don't understand that a letter C is made out of like 2 circles and rectangles and stuff like that. Like, you really got to understand the concept behind that. Like I said, if you guys want a video on that, let me know in the comments below. I will be more than happy to do that. So just really quickly, we're going to be working off one box, one by one box for each logo we do. And we're going to make an O logo. So all you really have to do is just make sure Control U is activated. Go over to one of these boxes, click, hold Shift, and just make a really big circle. And right here, actually let's do it a little bit bigger. Go over here and make sure that there's no stroke on it, and make sure the fill is on black. And then go to Window, go to Align, or hit Shift F7. And then click right here where the Align Objects is, so you guys can align it into the center, and then click the one over here that says Vertical Align Center, just so everything's in the center. And then you're, of course, going to want to make sure that this circle follows the box lines. So you can see that it is centered, but it follows the box lines around it. So now that we have that, all we really have to do to start going is we're going to be making this, let's just go with 3 lines thick. And what I mean by 3 lines thick is, so we have one rectangle here, one rectangle here, one rectangle here. This would be considered 3 lines thick. If you guys want 2 lines, this would be 2 lines. You can make it a little bit skinnier, you can make whatever you want. You know, it's up to you guys. Like I said, creative process, trial and error, definitely do it. So all you have to do is take your circle or take your rectangles and then start making your letter out, but think about it in a way. So what I'm going about in my head is I'm basically going to do 3 gaps, so 3 lines. So it's basically going to be 1, 2, 3. It's basically going to be this thick all throughout the entire thing. Now personally, I'm going to make it 1 block space. Sometimes I like to do a half a block, sometimes I like to do a quarter block. It's up to you guys. Like I said, trial and error, we're gonna do both just so you guys can see the differences. So to do that, all you have to do is hit that, that shape that you made, Control C, Control F to duplicate in the same spot. Now hold Shift and Alt on your keyboard and then just drag it so it snaps to the next box up. Super easy. Control C, Control F, and make sure that that snaps the next box up. Just make sure that you're using new like new layers each time you do it, like new sizes. Control C, Control F, the next block up, and then you're gonna see that I'm gonna be moving my mouse out a little bit just so I can see where it's clicking onto. So I'll bring it up. Sometimes these purple lines will show. And then all you have to do is highlight everything just like this. Grab your shape builder tool or hit Shift M. Click Alt on your keyboard. Click once, click twice, and you see how much space is between this. Now, like I said, I was going to do 3 lines thick, but now that I realize how big of a block I'm using, I'm only going to be using 2 lines. Now, this is the way that people like to do it. Super easy, but like I said, we're going to just try it with a half a block gap, and that uses a little bit more thinking skills. So all you have to do is do that, and you're going to have to basically eyeball half a block thick. Now, usually when I do this, I make extra lines and extra blocks throughout everything, but you can eyeball, honestly, this, and it'll turn out just fine. And all you have to do is, like I said, keep hitting Control C and Control F, making those different sizes. So we got one going right there, and then right here. You can also do this by using strokes, which just work just as fine. Now, personally, I'm more of a kid that likes to see what I'm doing. So personally, I don't like to use strokes. I like to just do everything with circles and squares, but that's just me. Now, what I'm going to do is, since I have my layout already, is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to hide the grid and I'm going to shrink my my project. So now, if you didn't shrink it, or excuse me, if you use strokes and you start to shrink your project, this is what's going to happen. So I'm going to have a circle here. I'll take the fill away, and I'll put an inside stroke on, just like this. If I go to take my object and I go to shrink it, my stroke stays the same, but my object definitely shrinks a little bit. So you always want to expand the appearance before you start shrinking a bunch of strokes. So now that we have this is basically a letter O. So far it looks pretty modern, but we want to make it, of course, to the next step. So what I want you guys to do is click on the middle of that circle or the middle of your letter, and then grab a ruler and just place it in the center of each side so you can basically go back and forth. You can also just highlight everything and align it in the center. That works, excuse me, like I said, just as fine. So now that we have this done, let's talk about what to do next. So what I like to do is definitely plan a little bit ahead. Now, I definitely said no planning in the beginning, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a rectangle and I'm going to make it the same thickness as the rings on the circle, and just bring it to the top left hand corner, a little bit bigger than what I'm going to be using. Then hit Control C, Control F, and then we're going to zoom in a little bit so we can shrink it. And then I'm just going to take the size, make it a little bit smaller. Alright, so let's figure out what we want to do for the logo. Now, a lot of the times, like I showed in my portfolio, I like to have kind of like a set idea, like what I want to do. And basically what I'm going to do is just take this, I'm going to rotate it, just basically so it's straight up. I'm going to put it in the middle. I'm going to put one there. I'm going to put one right there. Duplicate that, hold Shift, make that horizontal, and put those right there, just like a crosshair. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually duplicate this rectangle, hitting Control C, Control F, bring it over to the right hand side, and I'm going to make the fill, let's just say a different color, like red, so that I know when I delete this section of the logo that I know the red is what I want to delete. And I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm going to change it up and I'm going to put it on the other side. And this is basically what you want to do. You're going to want to just basically make everything on different sides. So I'm going to put this up here. I'm going to put the stroke to red, or the fill to red, excuse me. And putting this down here. And what it does is it breaks apart the logo, and it makes it not so like unified, if you know what I mean. Like, it's going to have different things going on. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just basically going to highlight everything, grab my shape builder tool. I'm first going to delete everything around my circle. This went really far down. Just like this, and then delete everything inside my circle. And now I'm going to figure out what I want to do inside the rings. So now that I have this going on, what I'm basically looking for is, I think I'm gonna work on like the top left hand corner first. I think I'm gonna go up and then down and around and then back up. So like these have like a set style to it. So all I have to do is highlight this. I'm gonna delete this section. And then I'm gonna grab my shape builder tool again. I'm gonna delete this section. Just like that, and I can delete that red one since I'm not really using it anymore. Highlight all this. Let's say that I'm gonna delete all of this. And I'm gonna delete these red ones as well, since I don't need them anymore. So right now, what we got going on is this comes around, breaks down, goes up, and then goes all the way around to here. Now, of course, if you want to change it up and you don't want to follow this, what you can do is to break it up even more, is you can leave those red squares right there, and you can even delete like a section like that. So now that we have like a little extra break, but like I said, for the sake of the tutorial, I'm not really going to be saving this logo, so I'm going to start doing it a little bit faster. Now, what you want to try to do is try to figure out what you did on one side and try to like basically match it to the other side at some points. So I think I did that on that side. I'm going to delete that. And then of course for this one, I just deleted the middle like that. Now, what you can do now, since you have this part done, delete these rulers since we don't need them. Start getting a little bit creative. Start figuring out what else you can do to make this, let's just say, a little bit different. And what I mean by that is, let's just say we want to put a gap on this side. Just all you have to do is move that rectangle, click the shape builder tool, hold Alt, click that, delete it, and then do it on the other side. And then basically keep going back and forth, figure out what looks good, what doesn't look good. Because there's going to be a lot of the times where you're going to start messing around and you're going to actually create something a lot smoother and a lot better than what you originally planned on doing. So, just like this. And, you know, like I said, you don't have to make it geometric throughout everything, but I'm going to just try to do it just to show you guys the process. So this goes down, and this one goes on the outside. Like I said, it's the creative process that's fun. I enjoy it. Some people don't. Some people will not like doing this, and don't worry, it's not for everyone. And if you start freaking out, there's a lot of shapes going on. If you start freaking out about it, then just take a break. You really don't need to stress yourself out about it. And of course, you're gonna mess up like I just did. I'm using the wrong shapes. And the next thing you know, you basically have a logo. And like I said, it's super easy. You can see that there's some pattern going on. This little like lightning bolt style goes all the way around. If I could want to break it apart and make sure that the rings don't go everywhere, all I have to do is basically duplicate a layer and then move it and then just delete whatever I don't want anymore. Super easy, super simple. And what I want you guys to do is do the same thing. Pick a letter that you want to mess around with and start, start going crazy with it. Start getting creative. Start trying to figure out different ways to do things and really experiment and really challenge yourself, because you're not going to get better unless you challenge yourself. And that's exactly what basically I want you guys to do with this, especially with not using anything off paper, off sketches. This is all basically using your mind and using your inspiration and your design brain. And what I mean by taking logos and making different variations, so let's just say we make this and we're pretty stoked on it. Just gonna shrink it and put it right there. Just duplicate it, make it a little bit bigger, and then start moving things. Take this, let's just say we're gonna move it over here. Just start moving things, start trying different designs, try different patterns, just try different things. And trust me, sometimes the different things that you try is gonna turn out to be some of the best designing you've ever done. So that's going to be the tutorial. That's going to be how to create a modern logo. Now, like I said, it's not basically me showing you guys how to do each letter so you guys can copy me and basically go on. This tutorial is meant for you guys to learn from and really experiment what you like to do. And it's not for everyone. If you guys are not enjoying what you're making, of course, just delete it, or not even delete it, just save it to a hard drive. and then you guys can start doing something else. Always try to work and then save it and then try something else. If it's never working out the first time, save it, try working on something else. And then also, when you're done with the logo, and a lot of people just don't do this anymore, is always put it on a black background just to see what it looks like. And I'll show you guys very quickly a logo that I made just recently on stream. Look how much better these look on different colors. Like, I love these two on black and white, but I'm not a fan of the shield on white versus when I am on like a white background and black logo. Just personal preference, but like I said, guys, really try to experiment, really try to get used to doing logos, really try to do different variations. And like I said, I challenge you guys to do this like how I did, with no drawing, no pre-planning. I did this all off the top of my head just for this video, and it's super fun. And like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want to download the grid, it's going to be in the description below. Join the Discord. It's going to be on the download link section of my chat. And other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to drop me a comment. Tell me if you liked the video. Tell me if you're having trouble. Tell me if you need help, you know, planning out the letter that you want to work with. I'll help you guys out 100%. Thank you guys so much for checking out the channel. If you're new, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell, and I'll see you guys in a later on video. Peace out.